Hi, welcome to It's All About the Dogs. I'm here again with Noelle Blair of Positive Directions Canine Academy, and we are going to talk about, well, we're starting a series. We're going to talk about how to choose the right dog for your life.
Yes.
So
you want to adopt a dog.
Or buy a dog.
Or buy a dog.
Yeah.
Now, what do you need to consider? So first thing I think that you need to consider is, are you new to dogs or are you experienced?
Well, exactly.
Yeah. Certain breeds have tendencies toward people who are brand new to dogs and maybe this is their first time. And then there are other dogs that are best with people who've had dogs in the past and have some experience with them or have maybe stronger personalities.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, it depends on where you live, too.
Well, exactly. Do you live in a townhome? Are you in an apartment? Do you own? Do you rent? If you rent, do you have permission from the landlord to have an animal? If so, are there restrictions around what type of animal you can have?
Exactly.
Some people do not want particular breeds in their rentals, and some of them want sizes under a certain pounds. So
right.
Typically under 50, sometimes even under 30 pounds.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really important to know.
Well, and not just landlords, but some HOAs have issues with certain breeds.
You know, I hadn't thought of that, but you're right.
They do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, the house that you live in may not be conducive to having a big dog or an active dog,
right?
Or whatever the case may be. If you're in an 800 square foot house, having a Great Dane in that house is going to feel like you've got another couch. And where do I put it?
Exactly. It's gonna be a little cramped.
Yep.
Well, and are you a clean freak? I'm not. It's a good thing.
I'm not.
I have
either.
4 dogs. So,
I'm not
and
either.
I know you have some
yeah. Or
too.
You know, do you have allergies? That all kind of fits together with that. If you are a clean freak or you've got allergies, then you probably are going to want to stay away from a pug or a corgi because, man, do those dogs shed. I think pugs are probably the worst shedders I've ever been around, and you wouldn't think that a short-haired dog could shed as much as they do.
Beagles
but,
too.
Oh, they're
if you
awful.
pick up a beagle, you got little tiny like arrows of hair stuck in your clothing, and it can give you itchy skin. And
it really can. It can, and it weaves its way into furniture, fabrics of all kinds, and it's not something that you can just roll off, brush off, or even wash and get out. It is permanent.
Forever and ever.
Every day could be take your dog to work day.
Ooh, yeah. So those are a lot of things people don't even think about.
Right, right,
you know?
exactly.
And how active are you? You know, I mean, I am not terribly overactive. And I have active dogs, but they entertain each other because I've got 4 of them. But, you know, it's what are you going to do with your dog?
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you're not an active person, then getting a border collie is probably not the best option for you because
really
that
bad
dog
idea.
is going to want to learn, they're going to want to do, they want to be included. So if you're a couch potato, then you need a couch potato type dog. Now, and believe it or not, even if you're in a small place, there's some great larger breeds that are fantastic for apartments. Sure. You wouldn't think of it, but Great Danes are great for apartments.
Because they're not active. They're kind of like lounge around.
Yep, exactly. So, you know, there's always that option.
Well, and when you, and we'll probably address this in a later video because we are going to do a series, so keep tuned for more of these every week for the next several weeks at least. And one of the things that I've dealt with is someone getting an English setter, because I have English setters and I have this beautiful Irish red and white, but is getting a puppy and then doing too much with it too soon, which is it's another topic. Yeah. But if you're gonna be running or biking or hiking, doing anything that's what you might consider an extreme sport, then you want to be careful as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And you want to be careful about what kind of dog you get and how old they are.
Exactly. So you know, if you're looking for a jogging partner, then you may want to go down to one of the rescue organizations or check with a breed rescue and get an older dog, because that dog's going to be ready to hit the road. If you want to wait 1.5 to 2 years for your jogging partner to get to the point where you can jog with them, then get a puppy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
get a border collie that's 3 years old, and you can go jogging today.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah,
there
exactly.
you are. Well,
Exactly.
and what's the other question? Will it be around children or older folks?
Well, yeah, there are some breeds of dogs that, by just virtue of their size, they can be somewhat clumsy. If they've got a tail, those tails, when they're wagging, can whip around and they can actually hit a small child, or I don't know if you've ever been hit by a tail, but it can hurt.
A lap tail?
Yeah, they can hurt.
Yeah, they can.
It really can, and they can sweep everything off of a coffee table. You know, they're probably what, an inch and a half in diameter, and when they hit you, it's a It is. And little dogs have a tendency to be very, very active, very bouncy. And so, you know, if you've got a toddler walking around with food in their hands, that's not going to last for very long. Or they could get tangled up in an elderly or infirm person's feet and cause an accident, a trip.
Or a cane or a walker or something like that. So you want to be aware of who's in your household when you're getting a new dog, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Another one that you've got a question about is, how do you feel about grooming your dog?
Yeah, how do you feel about grooming? I'm one of those weird people that on Sunday afternoons, my favorite thing in the whole wide world is to groom all 6 of my dogs. And
that's a good thing, because you got corgis.
I do.
So they need a lot of grooming.
They do. They need a lot of grooming. But if I was the type of person who really didn't like to pick up a brush, then getting something with hair that has a tendency to mat. Doodles seem to be all the rage anymore. You breed a poodle with anything, but those coats can be really difficult.
Yeah, they're awful.
They are awful.
They're pretty awful.
If you don't want a naked dog when you take it to the groomers, you're going to have to spend some time brushing it. And even dogs that don't have a whole lot of coat, you still should spend a little bit of time every week just going over the dog and making sure that you're keeping up with lumps, bumps, that kind of thing. So
this one doesn't require a lot of grooming.
Yeah.
Which is actually one of the reasons why I chose this breed. You know, I've got English setters and they require a little bit more grooming.
Yeah, they do.
So, you know, but nevertheless, brushing them daily is not on my list of things to do. So if you're looking for that, that's something you got to take into consideration.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's huge. And do you have the money to spend to pay a groomer? Because if you're going to be taking the dog to the groomer, you're going to be seeing that person every 4 to 8 weeks, depending on how much maintenance and care you want with your dog's coat. If you're going to leave the coat a little bit longer and a little poofier, you're going to be seeing the dog, or the groomer, excuse me, far more frequently than you will if you want to just shave it down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you know what, when we're talking about that, because I mentioned before we were talking about this video, when I was a kid, and this will tell you how old I am, because I'm old now, but is Lady and the Tramp was a big thing.
Yeah. Back
in the 60s. And when I was a kid, it was like, oh, Cocker Spaniels were all the rage. And I wanted a Cocker Spaniel in the very worst way. And when I became an adult, that was one of the first things I did, was get my own place. I got my own Cocker Spaniel. I didn't take into consideration all that was involved in having a Cocker Spaniel. As far as grooming is concerned, it is like all the time.
It is.
And very expensive. And getting her groomed every couple of, it was like probably every 3 to 4 weeks that dog was at the groomers. And in between times, she required a lot of bathing. Their skin gets very oily. Their fur is very fine and it gets matted. I didn't think about that when I got a Cocker Spaniel. I'm not like Noelle, and I don't care to groom my dog every day. So that was really, even though when a dog comes to my house, they stay a lifetime, that was really probably a poor choice for me. And that comes to the next question, is how much time do you have to spend?
Well, exactly. So some dogs are a bigger investment in time, energy, money than others. So dogs that have the pushed-in noses, like your French bulldogs, American bulldogs, pugs, Bostons, those types of breeds, they tend to require a lot of extra care. You have to be very careful about how much time they spend in the heat or the cold. They do not adjust well to either one. You also have to be very careful about them overheating, keeping the folds in their skin clean. So you got to get in there with Q-tips and cotton swabs and stuff and
People
clean
just
those
don't
out
think
every
about
single
that.
day. Yeah.
They don't.
And some bulldogs, they have these cute little tails, but they're an indentation, and you got to pull that out, and you've got to clean around it. And boy, does it stink! So it's one of those things you want to be.
And then once again, some of those breeds that we just mentioned also have very oily skin.
Yes.
And so it's really important to keep them clean, and they will really, really smell bad. You know, bloodhounds are one huge example of that because they smell horrible.
Right.
And it's because of all the folds in their skin and the oils they secrete and then things that get trapped in there.
Right.
So be very cognizant of what kind of time. If you work 14 hours a day, you probably don't want to get one of those breeds.
Right, exactly. If you're home and you're gone a lot, then you know, maybe a dog isn't the right fit for you. Dogs expect to be included. They are pack animals, and it's important that they be included in family activities. It's not a yard ornament. It is not something that you get for a moment because it's cute and then grow tired of. This is like adopting a 2-year-old child, and you're going to be spending an awful lot of time with that dog.
It's a commitment, and we're going to talk about that in some of our later videos about how much, you know, what the commitment is and what the commitment is for specific breeds,
Right.
in particular,
Right.
as far as training and different things like that, because, you know, and Noelle's a professional trainer, so training dogs is her business.
And it is, and some dogs you could work 5 minutes with them a day and they're great, and other dogs, they want hours of your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 minutes is about what I spend with my dogs when I'm working with them. But that's, you know, I also have a job,
Right.
or 3.
Yeah, most of us have other obligations. We've got family, we've got jobs, we've got extracurricular activities that we're interested in.
I'm blessed because I'm a real estate agent and I work from home, so I get to spend a lot of time with my dogs. But nevertheless, just because I work from home doesn't mean I'm not working. Because working is the key.
Right,
so
exactly.
There's that. Well, and then the last thing that we have to talk about today is your personality and the dog's personality.
It matters. It does. It really, really does. Is that dog going to be a good fit for you and your family? And there's a simple test that you can do when you go to pick out a new puppy or adopt maybe an older dog that will tell you if that's a good fit for your family. And we're going to be covering that in one of our weekly videos. So stay tuned for that. But you know, if you're a marshmallow kind of person and you're very soft and mild-mannered, then getting a dog who is boisterous and outgoing may help your personality come out of its shell, but it may also be over the top for you.
Might be too much. A little bit stressful.
I would think it would be a little bit stressful. And there are certain dogs that, just by virtue of what they were bred for, are natural boundary pushers. And so if you don't have clear boundaries, that doesn't mean heavy-handed, it doesn't mean anything like that. It just means clear and consistent boundaries. Then that dog's going to take over and they're going to walk all over you. And before you know it, there's been a coup.
There are some dogs that are more easier and compliant, but yes, exactly. The one that was just sitting here, she's very sweet, but she can be very stubborn. Yeah. So, you know, whereas some of the other breeds might not be so stubborn, they might be a little bit easier to work with.
Right, exactly. So if you're not familiar with dogs, or you're new to dogs, some things that you might want to stay away from would be working, herding, or terriers. They tend to be a little more pushy, a little more high maintenance, and they tend to be better with owners who have clear, consistent boundaries, have maybe a little stronger personality, and have lots of time to give.
And they need a job to do.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, if they don't have a job, they can become very destructive. And which is what ends them up back in shelters a lot of the time. So
exactly. So stay tuned. We'll have more for you coming up next week.
Awesome. Thanks for watching. Link below to Noelle's Positive Directions Canine Academy if you want to sign up for classes, and any other helpful links that might be there. So
thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye.